Hello, everyone. Welcome into another edition. Today is the Thursday. Wow, we are already flying through this week. Thursday, September 3rd edition of Trending Politics Live. As you guys know, my name is Clayton Kearns, here with you every single day at 12 p.m. Pacific, and we have a packed show for you once again. This news cycle has just been ridiculous. I would say this. We're about 60 days away, exactly 60 days away from the 2020 election, everyone. And I would just say that it's time to cherish it, because these days, and I know we've got a lot of pent-up anger in the country right now, but you guys, we are living through the most historic election probably in history with everything going on this year. So just kind of sit back at times, take some perspective, and as long as President Trump wins, this year of 2020 is going to have a bow on it, and it is going to be amazing. So everybody in the country right now has already heard about the fiasco with Nancy Pelosi. I live here in California, and everything has been shut down for a very, very, very long time. A lot of smaller businesses who have been able to hide under the radar have been able to open their doors, but a lot of businesses have not been able to open their doors. So Nancy Pelosi, while a salon was closed down, decided that it would be a good idea to get her hair all did and done up. So she can look good on TV and look good doing whatever she's doing, because she's definitely not working in the House of Representatives. So this whole thing happened to where she went into a salon. Now, it was not the salon owner's problem. As many of you guys know, salon owners, they rent out chairs to hairstylists and hair cutters, barbers, everything like that, right? Well, those stylists have keys to the establishment. So against the owner's knowledge, they went ahead and did this. Nancy Pelosi went in and she wasn't even wearing a mask. So I want to show you this really quick clip of her with total hypocrisy, calling President Trump a bad leader for not taking responsibility, and then a clip right next to her where she fails to take any responsibility.
Take responsibility. So I said he's a weak leader. He doesn't take responsibility. He places blame on others.
I think that that salon owes me an apology for setting up. It was a setup.
So now Nancy Pelosi is saying that it was all just a setup. It was all a setup, like the hairstylist was trying to get her. But earlier in that press conference there, she said, no, I've been to this salon many times. So which is it, Nancy Pelosi? Was it a setup or was it not a setup? We'll never know. However, Kayleigh McEnany today, as you guys know, she doesn't miss. She does not miss. She hit it out of the park today. If there is an issue in the United States of hypocrisy in the Democrat Party, you know that Kayleigh McEnany is going to call it out. And that's what she did here. She went and played the footage in the background of Nancy Pelosi going in to the salon. She had it on a loop, playing on repeat for all of the liberal reporters to sit back and watch. You have to see this. Sit back and enjoy it. Here's Kayleigh McEnany just about an hour or two ago in the press conference.
Good afternoon, everyone. 2 briefings ago, I asked, where is Nancy Pelosi? Today, I can announce we have found Nancy Pelosi. As you can see, we found Nancy Pelosi going into her hair salon. We will be playing the video on loop for all of you to see during the duration of this introduction. Nancy Pelosi was not in the halls of Congress when I asked where she was. She was not working in good faith to make a deal for the American people. Nope, Nancy Pelosi was found in San Francisco at a hair salon where she was indoors, even though salons in California are not only open for outdoor service. Apparently, the rules do not apply to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She wants small businesses to stay shut down, but only reopen for her convenience. Do as I say, not as I do, says Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is holding up $1.3 trillion in relief for the American people, while getting special access to the very kind of small businesses that this money would support, businesses like this hair salon. Before she skipped town to violate her state's health guidelines, Pelosi proposed a bill. It was called the HEROES Act, which contained no additional paycheck protection funding. This is funding that would help the very small business she has bizarrely accused of plotting against her. The president sees through Democrats' disregard for Americans in need, and he took action unilaterally in his own accord. He provided relief from evictions, he provided unemployment insurance, he paused student loan payments, and he cut the payroll tax, putting money in the American people's pockets. Congress also failed to authorize funding to provide children with free lunches for the 2020-2021 school year. And again, President Trump, with senior advisor Ivanka Trump, took action. And now USDA has extended a summer program which will ensure children continue to have access to free meals through the end of the year. Nancy Pelosi is demanding an apology from a single mother and small business owner who has received threats since Nancy Pelosi's comments against her salon. Salon owner Erica Kayas said this: "Since this happened, I've received nothing but hate text messages, death threats, saying they're going to burn down my hair salon. It's just sad that my community is pulling this, saying that I threw her under the bus when I did not. So that's hurtful. But yes, I think I'm pretty much done now." Nancy Pelosi, you ought to apologize to the American people. Or better yet, come back to Washington and get to work for hardworking Americans like this salon owner that you maligned and demanded an apology from. And with that, I'll take questions.
Wow. I mean, I don't think that any words could have been spoken any better. That was absolutely perfect on the part of Kayleigh McEnany. She absolutely hit it out of the park, and it's 100% true. Right now, here's the problem: is that Nancy Pelosi still wants everything in shutdown. She doesn't want businesses to open, and salons like this have been absolutely forced to stay open and serve customers outside. And if you live in California, you know that it has been a scorcher. At least where I am here in Southern California, it has been a scorcher, 100 degrees every single day. Yet restaurants are somehow are forced to have people sit outside. Businesses are forced to have their business on the street. Meanwhile, the Democrat politicians, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, everyone else says absolutely nothing about the protests and the riots that go on every single day. Even if they condemn riots now, first of all, it's too late. Second of all, even with protests, 50,000 people gathered on the March on Washington or whatever it was last Friday. It was a march of all Democrat voters, and guess what? The politicians were saying, "Bravo, bravo! We're so glad you're standing up against racism." So if people are allowed to do that, then why can't the salon owner open up her business? Why can't everyday Americans go back to work? You know, I look at the hair salons. I just got my hair cut a few days ago, and I looked at the salon, and I told the barber, I said, "Hey, man, even if this was at maximum capacity, there's a maximum of like 25 people that can be in here. How come I can go to Costco and shop? How come I can go to Home Depot and shop, and all Walmart, Target, and all these big box stores? How come I can go there and touch the shelves and whatever's on the shelves, but I can't go into a small business where these people rely on that paycheck?" The guy who cut my hair said, "Look, man, we never closed." They basically took a don't ask, don't tell, ask for forgiveness instead of permission approach when it came to opening their hair salon. He said, "Look, I couldn't afford to stay closed. I had just closed on a condo right before the coronavirus hit, and then I have my baby daughter and I have a wife." So this man said, "I had to keep working." And guess what? This guy, the apartment complexes next to this guy's business were complaining, telling on him. They're open. What do you expect the American people to do when they need to put food on the table for their families? And so Kayleigh McEnany just absolutely, playing that video on repeat for the liberal reporters to sit back and watch. There is nothing more satisfying than that right there. She absolutely just crushed it. I'm so glad that she is our press secretary. She is the perfect voice to articulate things for President Trump because she is organized. She knows the talking points. See, President Trump knows the talking points, but he doesn't always know how to organize his thoughts in order to get it through. But she comes in with a binder that has all the little tabs, and it is organized, and she hit it out of the park. Nancy Pelosi is not in Washington, D.C., trying to help relief for the American people. She is in San Francisco getting her hair done and not wearing a mask and doing things that she's telling the American people not to do. It is the most disgusting form of hypocrisy that I have ever seen in my life. And we, the people, the American people, need to stand up on November 3rd. In just about 60 days from now, stand up on November 3rd and vote for President Trump to say an end to the hypocrisy, an end to all of this. Because, you guys, if Joe Biden somehow pulls this thing off, America is going to look very different. And a lot of these things that we take for granted under Trump we are going to miss greatly when he does leave office. So we got to vote him back in, everyone. I'm so glad Kayleigh McEnany called her out, because Nancy Pelosi deserved every single bit about that. And the fact that she's not even taking responsibility, she knows the rules. She's an elder, she's up there in her, I believe in her 70s or early 80s. Why is she in there without a mask on? Like, she's telling everyone to mask up, but she doesn't want to mask up. It's the same thing with all these Democrat politicians. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this. All right, because I'm excited to hear your opinions. I see the comments coming through. This is obviously a very hot topic here. But that's not all. That is not all for Kayleigh McEnany. She ended the press conference with a bang. So, as you know, Kayleigh McEnany is very, very good at dropping bombs on the media and then saying, all right, good day. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. So, as you guys know, the Democrat Party had all of June, all of July, and all of August in order to condemn rioting, to condemn looting. But they didn't do it. They chose not to do it because they did not want to upset their radical voters. Why? Because the radical voters spur energy, and energy spurs voting. And so they didn't want to stop or quell that energy at all. So Kayleigh McEnany stood up for police officers, dropped the mic on her way out of the press conference. Check this out.
This past weekend. But look, when the local government doesn't act, we use every avenue available to us at the federal level. And that it pertains to this memo is one example. Another example is Operation Legend, which we're very proud of and have some new numbers for you on that. Since the operation's launch, more than 2,000 arrests, including 147 homicides, have been made. More than 544 firearms have been seized, and more than those are illegal weapons, and more than 7 kilos of fentanyl, 14 kilos of heroin, 12 kilos of cocaine, and 50 kilos of methamphetamine have been seized. And of the individuals arrested, 476 have been charged with federal offenses. And there's a detailed readout from DOJ of each offense and the great work that our federal law enforcement officials have done. So thank you to our police. Thank you to our federal law enforcement. You keep us safe when Democrat mayors and derelict governors do not. Thank you.
Can you say something about voting twice? Knowingly voting twice is a crime. Why is he telling people to vote twice?
And there she is. The media got triggered as heck. They could not stand the heat from Kayleigh McEnany. Ted Wheeler of Portland says, President Trump, do not come and help us out. Portland has rejected Trump's help. Chicago has rejected Trump's help. Wisconsin has rejected Trump's help. And now the mayor of Portland is moving away from his hometown. Well, if it was so safe and if he was doing such a good job, why is this guy moving? Why is he moving? Good on Kayleigh McEnany for calling out the media and not letting those liberal reporters have their say or have their word, because they don't deserve it anymore. It is clear that the liberal media has become nothing more than a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, and Kayleigh McEnany treats them as such. And kudos to her. Kudos to her. So we're going to move on. Actually, if you support that, then I want to see a huge law and order in the comments below. All caps, law and order. And just as a friendly reminder, we've got over 3,000 people live on here between YouTube, Facebook, and all of our other streams, okay? These YouTube videos, these YouTube live streams get between 7,000 to 10,000 views every single episode, but we only have 7,000 YouTube subscribers. So that means that some of you out there, I see you out there. Some of you aren't subscribed yet. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it takes 5 seconds. Go hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, because these next 60 days, you're going to want to be a part of these live streams every single day. These next 60 days are going to be some of the most historic 60 days that you've ever seen. So please join me every single day, Monday through Friday, because we're going to be doing this every single day. We're also going to be doing special interviews apart from these as well, we're going to be giving it all to you guys at trendingpolitics.com. So make sure to subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure to save this video, like it, comment on it, so Facebook knows to show us, to show our content to you. So I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit and start talking about Andrew Cuomo has blatantly threatened President Donald J. Trump if he were to have the audacity to show up in New York. And I'm not kidding you. They are so triggered by President Trump that they can't even come together on one issue. Andrew Cuomo says, Trump, just take a minute to see how far our political discourse has gone. Governor Cuomo says Trump better have an army to protect him if he comes to New York City. Let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in. The governor of New York is now coming out and saying that if President Trump, who is the president of the United States, dares to step foot in his hometown of New York City, that he better have an army to protect him. I'm going to read through the whole article with you here, but this is highly, highly distressing on the part of the rhetoric coming from the Democrat Party. So let's read through a little bit of this here together. Okay, so it says this from the New York Post. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Wednesday all but threatened President Trump's safety if he returns to New York City in a rant responding to an exclusive story by the New York Post that Trump is looking to pull federal funds from lawless cities, including New York. Cuomo, upon hearing the news, called an emergency press briefing within a half hour on Wednesday night to tear into Trump for the owner, to tear into Trump for the order, which cites New York's rising murder rate and defunding of the NYPD. He says he better have an army if he thinks he's going to walk down the street in New York. New Yorkers don't want to have anything to do with him, the Democrat said, all but threatening the commander-in-chief. But Cuomo, who, like Trump, hails from Queens, wasn't done. He says he can't have enough bodyguards to walk through New York City. People don't want anything to do with him. Andrew Cuomo just threatened President Trump's safety and life. He flat out said he can't have enough bodyguards. He said President Trump is going to need an army to protect him. Let me ask you a question. Can you imagine if this was said about Barack Obama? If back in the day, if Barack Obama was traveling to Texas to assess the damage, to see what's going on, and if a Republican governor of Texas said, Barack Obama can't have enough bodyguards. He can't walk through the streets of Dallas, Texas, because he better have an army to protect him. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the outcry, the bedlam that would have ensued in the United States of America if a Republican governor ever said that about a Democrat president, mainly Barack Hussein Obama? But they feel like they can do this now. You have Maxine Waters saying, if you see President Trump or anyone from his administration in the streets, you get in their face, you start a crowd, you scream into their face. You had Eric Holder say, when they go low, we kick them. You have Democrats calling for violence against Trump supporters. There was a shooting at the baseball practice a few years ago that almost killed Steve Scalise. Yet the Democrats have not pulled down their rhetoric. They have not scaled down their rhetoric at all. They know that chaos is what they can thrive on. And it's time for we the people to wake up to this, to not allow this kind of violent rhetoric to be going in our political discourse. The governor of New York saying that President Trump better have an army with him and that he can't have enough bodyguards. Why couldn't you just say, Mr. President, we don't want you to come down here. We don't like you. But talking about his physical safety like that, What do you think is going to happen now? If President Trump does in fact go to New York, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that this is going to promote more or less violence? Do you think this is going to promote more or less chaos on the streets of New York City? We all know the answer. We all know the answer. And you know what the worst part is? Is that the Democrats know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, but they have become so radical as a party that they think that they can just get away with it. They think they can just get away with it, and it is absolutely disgusting. Comment below. Let me know what you think about this, because this kind of rhetoric should not be allowed in our political discourse. But the Democrats, it's just a normal Thursday for them. It's just a normal Thursday for them. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, imagine all the things over the last few years. You have Kathy Griffin holding up a mock beheaded, bloody stump of a head of President Trump. And she's fine. At the end of the day, all of her Hollywood buddies are like, look, I can't say it publicly, but you know that I'm on your side. You have a mock assassination attempt in New York City in a play that is clearly President Trump. You have Snoop Dogg making a music video about President Trump, shooting him in the head. You have Johnny Depp asking a rhetorical question. When was the last time someone assassinated a president? Can you imagine if any of these things were said about Barack Obama? I mean, I feel like I'm going crazy sometimes because some of this is allowed when the Democrats would lose their ever-loving minds if this was said about Barack Obama. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below. I see you guys commenting in here. Thank you so much for your feedback. So on that note about Democrats enjoying the chaos, enjoying violence in such a way, as you guys know, the Democrats have finally seen the dent in their poll numbers after several months of not denouncing left-wing mob violence in the streets of the United States of America. They said, hey, the violence will stop eventually, right? We don't have to call it out. We don't have to upset our buddies at Black Lives Matter. We don't have to upset our buddies at Antifa, right? Well, they have now seen, and as I talked about yesterday, Joe Biden has now thrown $45 million at an ad campaign that is all about denouncing violence. Now, let me tell you something. Joe Biden had all of June, all of July, all of August to denounce. They even had an entire week of speakers at the DNC. They could have very easily created a segment that said, you know, peaceful protesting is the way to go. When I see violence in the streets, this is not something I want to see. But they chose not to do that. And now the media is piggybacking off of that. So now Joe Biden is starting to changing his tune, but the media is now picking up where Joe Biden left off. Now, check out what the Washington Post just published, and you won't believe what you're about to see. They have this article here, this op-ed, of an image of President Trump being physically removed from office, holding on to the curtains, trying for dear life to stay in the Oval Office, with Packers in the back, and it says Biden in the background. This moving truck says Biden-Harris. The media is fair, though, right? The media is totally unbiased and fair. Okay. Their headline, you're not going to believe what you're about to read right now. I'm just warning you. They said, what's the worst that could happen? The election will likely spark violence and a constitutional crisis. But I want to tell you something. It gets even better. Not better for us, but what you're about to hear from them, oh man, I can't believe what I'm about to read here. But what I'm about to read here is that they said that the election is most likely to end in violence, but only if Biden wins in a landslide. So the only scenario in which the Washington Post says that things are going to be peaceful is if Biden not only wins, but wins in a landslide. Is this not incitement of violence? Is this not a threat? Is this not a wink, wink, nudge, nudge? Hey, if Trump wins, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, but we told you there'd be riots in the streets. I'm just going to read through some of this because I know we won't even be able to get through this here. Basically, they said, we wanted to know what's the worst thing that could happen to our country during the presidential election. They claim, the Washington Post falsely claims, that President Trump has broken countless norms and ignored countless laws during office. All right, blah, 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 blah. Well, basically, they said this. So we built a series of war games, sought out some of the most accomplished Republicans, Democrats, blah, 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 blah. They said this. A landslide for Joe Biden resulted in a relatively orderly transfer of power. Every other scenario we looked at involved street-level violence and political crisis. You see that, people? The liberal media is now setting the stage. The liberal media is setting the stage and warning you and I, saying, hey, if President Trump wins this election, we are going to riot and we're going to be okay with it. The media is going to promote it. The media is going to applaud it. And they think that the only way President Trump can win is if he cheats. But actually, the reverse is true. Think about everything the media has been wrong about over the last 5 years. They said President Trump was racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, that he would be opening concentration camps if he was president, that he would act as Hitler, that he would tank our economy, all these things. None of it happened. None of it happened. His support in the black community has only increased. His support in all minority communities has only increased. Record economy before the Chinese virus struck us here at home. And now you have Democrats saying, hey, you good Americans, I just want to let you know that the only way that you're going to see peace in our streets is if Joe Biden not only wins, but wins in a landslide. What kind of garbage is this coming from the liberal media? And I could go on, but see, they said this. Picture this. On the morning of Election Day, false stories appear online claiming that Biden has been hospitalized with a life-threatening heart attack and the election has been delayed. Every mainstream news organization reports that the rumors are unfounded, but many Biden supporters, confused by the bogus claims, stay home. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Already laying the groundwork that President Trump and Republicans are going to start some sort of bizarre conspiracy theory that Biden has been hospitalized on the day of the election. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? So what they go on to say, they go on to trash Trump, and they say that dystopia is based on how events played out in one of the transition integrity project exercises. We explored the 4 scenarios experts most considered likely: a narrow Biden win, a big Biden win with a decisive lead in both the electoral and the popular vote, a Trump win, and finally, a period of extended uncertainty. But here's the thing. You know what they didn't include in those projections? A Trump landslide. Take note. They said a big Biden win, a Trump win, and uncertainty. What they failed to mention is that what happens if President Trump wins this election in a landslide? They're telling us that there's going to be violence in the streets, threatening, blackmailing the United States of America, saying, hey, unless you vote for Joe Biden, there's going to be violence in the streets. They're saying there's going to be violence in the streets only if there is a Biden landslide, a Biden win, or that's it. But everything else, there's going to be violence. Well, what happens when President Trump has such an incredible landslide victory on Election Day that no other mail-in votes that come in later that day are even going to matter, or that come in over the next few days? That's the landslide that you and I need to create, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we need to do, because that is the only way that this can be undenied. There's a great movie called Remember the Titans, and in it, towards the end of the game, the coach comes into the huddle and says, you will leave no doubt. Leave no doubt about who the winner of this game is, no matter who the refs say. If people say the refs helped you, then we didn't win by big enough. If people say that Trump cheated in this election, then we didn't do our jobs and we didn't win this election big enough. Okay? So this is my message to every single person here. Get out and vote. Vote in person if it's possible at all. Make sure to check your voter registration status, because in some states, they have changed you to a permanent mail-in voter. Make sure to check your status. We have to win this election in the most decisive landslide ever since Ronald Reagan. Okay? We have to do it, ladies and gentlemen, because the only way that Trump needs, if Trump can storm through this election, take Minnesota, Pennsylvania in a landslide, Ohio in a landslide, Florida, Wisconsin, and Michigan in a landslide, and if he can steal one of the other states of Colorado or New Mexico, then the Democrats will have nothing to say. And these rioters and looters, yes, they'll probably do violence anyways. That's how they express their opinion and express their beliefs. But at the end of the day, you guys, is that if November 4th comes and there is not a clear winner, then be prepared for several more months, potentially another year of gridlock, of uncertainty, and who knows what's going to happen. It's not only imperative that we win this election, it's imperative that we sweep this election, that it's a landslide, that it is a blowout. So if everyone here is going to be voting for President Trump in 2020, then in the comments below, I want to see you have a huge Trump 2020 in the comments below, all caps, because it is absolutely imperative that we do our duties as American citizens to get out there, vote, and vote for the man who loves our country. Vote for the party who loves our country. Vote for the party who loves our economy and wants to see our country great, who doesn't want to punish us for our sins of the past of America. So if you're going to be voting for President Trump in 2020, then tell me below. I want to see a huge Trump 2020. Everybody, I thank you guys so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I knew today was going to be a good one. We had more people live at one time than we have ever had before, and I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. Please, please, please make sure you're going to trendingpolitics.com all day, every day. We have a team of writers who's getting up content all the time. Go to ilovemyfreedom.com. We have yard signs now available, Trump 2020 yard signs, Law and Order yard signs. Show your support, all made in the USA. Show your support who you're going to be voting for in 2020. We have patriotic face masks, police support face masks, lots of great things that you guys want to get your hands on. We have a team of over 30 American patriots in Kansas in our fulfillment center, shipping these out to you guys every day. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Go to ilovemyfreedom.com for all of that. Go to trendingpolitics.com all day and follow us on all forms of social media at Trending Politics. If you're on Instagram, we're on Instagram. If you're on Twitter, go to our Twitter. And you're likely watching this on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, I'm watching you. If you're not subscribing, I'm gonna come for you. Just kidding. But yes, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, you guys, please subscribe. We're coming out with also more content as well. So, most of the content on our channel is these live streams. But I'm going to start doing more talking to camera videos about different topics that you can watch as well. So please go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps out our YouTube channel. It helps out our Facebook page when you support us with comments and thumbs up and loves, likes, whatever they are, okay? Make sure to share this as well with somebody that you know. Everybody, I see you guys all still in the chat. Over 1,500 of you still live. I appreciate you guys all. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys. Michelle, Betty, Sissy, Dorian, Nick, Glenn, John, Sandy, Kathy, Mike, everybody. You guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow for our final show of the week already at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. You're going to want to be it. I've got a special guest for you. We're going to get into a lot of great topics. I'll be talking to you tomorrow.